Hi, I'm Kathy, and welcome to my channel, What Kathy Thinks. I haven't made a video in forever, and I'm so uncomfortable and so nervous and just like blah at loose ends. I don't usually script my videos. I usually spend my writing effort on fiction, so we're just winging it here. My teeth are flossed, there's no lipstick on my teeth, and I got so tired of trying to get my eyebrows right that I just shaved them off. It's been that kind of year. I figure it'll work. So there's a lot going on, isn't there? So much going on, so much to talk about that I've decided not to talk about any of the 2020 issues, really. I've decided to talk about something that I really want to talk about. Tom Petty. I know. He died in 2017. But I still want to talk about him. Tom Petty. Tom Petty. Tom Petty had my heart from the time I was 13 years old and Breakdown was released. I loved Tom Petty. I loved him. I just absolutely loved him in the way that only a 13-year-old girl can. I loved him solid for 15 years. I saw him in concert 3 times, each time with my baby sister, every time in Houston, twice at the Summit, and once at the Woodlands Pavilion. If you're from Houston, you know those places. Even if you're not from Houston, you might know those places. He spoke to me in the way that, when you're a teenage girl and you just have that one band or that one artist that you're just crazy about. Some people it's, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Other people it's I don't know what, but for me it was Tom Petty. It was the 70s. It was the early 80s. And for me, it was Tom Petty. And when he died, I was so saddened. When I heard he died of an opioid overdose, my heart just broke for him. And it wasn't so much the loss of my favorite musician anymore. His later work wasn't really, appealing to me. I didn't buy his albums anymore. But the loss of an artist to an opioid overdose, another artist to that really made me sad. The loss of my first major music crush, that saddened me. Then at Christmas 2019, we were having our big family Christmas, and a younger member of the family, I was talking with them, and I said, I am so saddened that Tom Petty died of an opioid overdose. And they said, well, you know what happened, don't you? And I said, well, sure, I know what happened. He died because he was an addict on a day ending in a Y. And they said, well, that's not what happened at all. I said, what do you mean that's not what happened? And they explained to me, painstakingly, that Tom Petty died because he had a fractured hip and he wanted to postpone the surgery until after his tour was complete because he didn't want to disappoint his fans. I said, okay, so you're telling me that we have an addict who's putting other interests ahead of his health and his survival. Sounds like an addict. So in other words, we have an addict who died on a day that ended in Y. They said, no, you don't understand at all. He wanted to please his fans. I said, okay, well, you know that I'm an addict, and you have a low opinion of that. If I told you, or if you heard that I had died of an overdose because I needed to keep using drugs in order to finish a YouTube video, what would you think about that? He said, well, it's nothing the same. It's not the same at all. I said, oh, so money and fame make the difference then. If I were famous and I had money and I died while I was trying to complete something artistic, then it would be all right. This person grew quite upset with me and said that I didn't understand at all, that they'd heard it on NPR. I said, well, I think I understand quite well. What I'm hearing is that if you die from a drug overdose for the sake of art and you're famous and have money, then you're not a junkie who overdoses. But if you're poor and you overdose, then it's not okay. Well, they grew quite upset with me, and they didn't really wish to continue the conversation. But I think it's a valid point. At what point, it's a moving line, it seems to me. If you're poor and you overdose on drugs, it's not okay. But if you have money and fame and you overdose because you're doing something for the masses or for an artistic purpose that you're getting paid well for, well, that's okay. Maybe you're a junkie, though, who's just trying to put together some small collection of poems that maybe no one will ever read, and you die. Well, that's not okay. You're just a junkie. This bothers me tremendously. The loss of any addict is a tragedy. The loss of any addict to an overdose is a tragedy. Any death is a tragedy, yes. But the loss of an addict to an overdose, that's such a sorrow. Sometimes I think only addicts grieve the deaths of other addicts, their loved ones and other addicts. I've been talking about this with other people, and they agree that yes, oftentimes the death of an addict is overlooked as if it's for the sake of art, then that death is, or if they're rich or famous, then that death is seen as somehow less sordid, less sleazy. Is oh, they were an artist. It's so tragic, but it was an accidental overdose. It's not like a junkie who dies on the street. Oh, they were always a junkie. Why is this? Why is this moving line there? How did this happen? But when I talked with other people, they also pointed out something else that's also been bothering me. On my phone lately, I see ads from Pandora that say, "Celebrate Tom Petty on Pandora." What are we celebrating? I don't think we're celebrating Tom Petty at all. If they said, "Celebrate Tom Petty's body of work on Pandora," I could get behind that. Or even, "Celebrate Tom Petty's music on Pandora." That's not what the ads say. They say, "Celebrate Tom Petty." The man has been completely objectified. And that's what we do. Humans are tribal in nature, it's been explained to me. And this is what we do to people. We objectify them. Some people allow this. They buy into this. They want to be objectified. Think the Kardashians. In other cases, this is not true. Think primitive tribes. Chieftains want to be objectified. But do the human sacrifices, do those people want to be objectified? Maybe. Maybe. It could be an exalted position. But those people are not, they don't have names, they're just the sacrifices. Is Tom Petty a cultural sacrifice? Is that what we've made him? Is that what Pandora's made him? He's not a person anymore. He's not even the jerk my first husband described. Not at all. I'd rather think of him as the jerk my first husband described than what I see advertised on Pandora. Celebrate Tom Petty. I don't celebrate him. I'm still mourning his death to an opioid crisis that the big pharma manufactured, and that an addict became convinced that a show was more important than his own health. What a tragedy. What a tragedy. And I assure you that if I died getting high to make this video, that absolutely no one would say, "Oh, it was so important that she make that YouTube video. It was really important. You don't understand. She had to make that video. She really did. It was that important. The show had to go on." What nonsense. What absolute drivel. So sad. I do mourn Tom Petty, and I'd rather think of him as the jerk that my first husband described, who tragically died of addiction. And all I have to say is, I hope for all my friends out there, I have a lot of friends who are addicts, both in recovery and out of recovery, and those like me that go in and out and in and out. And I think that's, in a lot of cases, most addict stories, although I'm fortunate to know many people who've been in recovery for many decades, and they've been, just a source of strength to me for many decades. But be your own show. Be your own show. You don't have to be a martyr for that. It is a tragedy. So, moving on, I'm going to be doing more videos. I hope this one came out good. I tried to record one a little earlier. A bug flew in my mouth. Seriously, a bug flew in my mouth. I decided to scrap that one. Hopefully this one will be better. Don't die, or at least don't die of an overdose, please. Please don't die of an overdose because you think you have to do something for somebody else. You don't. You absolutely don't. You absolutely don't. Have a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful day. We're going to get through 2020, and then we're going to tell 2020 to get the 2020 out of here. You guys have a wonderful, beautiful day. I hope you like this video. They're not usually all this dark, and I'm going to be doing some story time videos, so stay tuned. Bye.